Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Tell Me About Your Jesus podcast. I'm Brian, and I'm here with Shain, and we're just two ordinary people talking about our extraordinary God. We hope what you hear today helps you see how God moves in our lives.
All right. So we are back with another episode of Tell Me About Your Jesus podcast. This time it's just me and Brian. And we're going to do a little bit of a book review on the Gospel Way Catechism. Brian?
Yep.
You there?
Yeah. Take two on the video. So we're trying something new tonight as well.
Okay.
We tried it last time. It wound up on the cutting room floor, as we say, because it was just a hot mess. So we're starting off a little simpler this time, and I don't think we're really doing a book review tonight.
I don't know what we're doing.
So I think in the last one we had talked about trying to find a book and kind of walk through it chapter at a time. So I mean, if you're ready to review the whole book,
no, I've only read like 3 of the chapters.
I'm ready to talk about chapter 1, and that's about all I can do. But
okay, good.
But, last time we were talking was about 2 weeks ago. And 2 weeks ago, we're recording this on September the 22nd.
Yes.
2 weeks ago, we kind of lived in a different world, right?
Yes.
We were talking right after the last school shooting in Minnesota, I think that was.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking with Lane about spiritual warfare a little bit, and just about how to stay focused in a world and how to be close to God when, the world just seems to be going crazy and getting worse, perpetually worse. And then September 10th came around, and if you haven't seen the news, obviously one of the most outspoken Christian journalists, I don't know if you can call him a journalist, right?
Yeah.
Heavy into politics, heavy into American, back to some of the founding beliefs about what our founding fathers thought, and about putting God as the center of the country. Yeah, he was shot and killed.
The same day that the podcast came out about spiritual warfare.
That's very true. I had not thought about that. You're right, because it dropped at 5 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
It just kind of gets set on its own automated rhythm, but it came out. And thinking through that, just about how things fell, right? It's kind of crazy to think that a lot of people that were, they knew who Charlie Kirk was, they knew about some of the things, they knew behind the Change My Mind booth, but they may have not known what an outspoken Christian he was.
Yes.
Well, now 2 weeks later, the whole world, or at least the United States and around the world, they've been exposed to that. Yep. Because in one way or another, you've heard his widow, or you've heard other people talk about, how open he was in his faith and the things that he shared, and, all the video clips and audio clips that have come out after the fact, or, they're before the fact, everybody's sharing it, just about, if you asked him what the most important thing was in his life, he's going to tell you Jesus, and the relationship he had with him. And I think it's kind of made a lot of people step back and think about where they are in their walk, right? If they're believers or not. And I don't know if you saw any of the memorial episode service yesterday or not.
I saw some of it. I didn't try to sit down and watch all 5 or 6 hours.
Right. And it was.
Go ahead.
I didn't know how long it went. We were at a church picnic yesterday, so we didn't see the whole thing.
Yeah, it lasted for about 6 hours total.
And that's amazing. The one part I saw was one of the pastors, or he was, I guess, he was Kirk's pastor. Mm-hmm. And he said, basically gave an altar call and challenged people to, based on what they've now heard, do you want to follow the same Jesus of Nazareth? And there were people, there making making decisions, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's one example. And look at all the other stuff that's happened before that. There's probably been a lot of that going on.
Well, and I think the most powerful thing that I saw that came out of the memorial yesterday was when his widow got up and was speaking and rightfully crying and remembering her husband. And then also said, forgive them, Lord, for they know not what they do. And turned around and said, I forgive the man that killed my husband. Like, wow.
Yeah.
I don't know that I could do that,
I don't know that I could do that either, just to be blunt.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yep. I was moved by that.
Yep. So anyways, and you think about, what could cause a person to have that kind of commitment, that kind of faith? Well, it's all because of the relationship they have with Christ. And if we want to get to that level in our own faith, we want to, the idea behind this podcast is, tell us about your Jesus, tell us your Jesus story, how you met Christ, how he's done things in your life.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe we can also use this as a way to help strengthen people in their faith, right? As they're listening, and encourage them and challenge them in some of the things. And that was why we kind of talked about the book, right?
Yeah.
And full disclosure, I think I told you I don't know that much about it. I've actually read some really good reviews afterwards about some of the things that are out there, but it seemed really positive. And if you think about like how the church has evolved over time, some of the things they've studied, a lot of times that they would put out their core beliefs in what's called catechism, a catechesis, or a catechesis. I'm not a scholar.
Wow.
About the things they believed, and it helped answer questions in the church. And so I found this, and those are the things that have been around for centuries, right? And this seemed to kind of be like a new modern take on it. So this one's boiled down to 50 points. And I think, I don't know if you said the name of the book or not, but it's the Gospel Way Catechism by Trevin Wax and Thomas West. But we're going to kind of hit this, a chapter when we can, interspersed among some guests. But if there's someone that would be interested in kind of grabbing it and getting into it with us, we would welcome that.
Yeah.
And challenge you to hop in with us.
For sure. Are we going to jump right into the first chapter? Or?
Unless there's something else you wanted to talk about.
Nah, I'm good, man.
Kind of segue through that, and I think where I was going with it back before I got kind of carried away there is when it talks about what kind of faith do you have? Well, that's the first question that's asked in the book is the one I think that it kind of all boils down to, and the question. I'll tell you what. If you want to read the question, I'll read the answer.
Yeah, I was just trying to get to it so I could get it word for word here. But, question 1 is, what is the center? What is the point of everything?
And the answer is God is the center and point of everything. In him, all things come to be and are held together. He has no rival.
Mm-hmm.
That seems very simple to say, but if you think about the implication of it, if I look at my life and say God is the center of everything, that kind of transforms my view of how I see myself and how I see everyone around me and how I should relate to all the people around me as well. Did you, I know you already read through it, did you have any thoughts on kind of like this opening paragraph or anything like that?
Well, it just hit me that, at least I speak just for myself, I've always said, yeah, God's number one, God's at the center. But then it kind of convicted me to kind of look at my life and do I live that out? Is it really everything is about him and everything else is separate? Or is it more about, I don't really feel like doing this even though I should? Well, then it's more about me and not Jesus first. And so it was kind of convicting as I read through some of this and took some time to think about how my life looks to somebody from the outside.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think, if if we look at like the messages that are very popular in culture today, and let's face it, Christianity is countercultural,
Oh
right?
yeah,
Big
yeah, for sure.
against a lot of the things you hear today. But if you ask someone, what's important to you, they're going to give probably an answer that's important to themselves. So I'm going to think about I'm going to put myself at the center of everything I want to do. That's why we're told, follow your heart, embrace your passions, do what makes you feel good and all this. And, that's true to an extent, right? Embrace your passions, do what you love. You don't want to suffer away, toil away at something you don't love, but that's not your whole purpose for doing everything, right?
Yeah.
The idea that God is really at the center of what we're doing should transform the way we look at things. One of the questions that the book had is, how does acknowledging God as the center and point of everything challenge, that thought that life's about us? And I was thinking, if I really start to understand that the life I've been given to live to the glory of God and to influence those around me so that they too can see His goodness, it shifts my focus. And I was just trying to think of how it does that in my life. It takes my focus off of the creation, me, to the Creator. And I can see that there's a Creator in charge of things, sculpting things. It kind of takes the pressure off me. I hate to put it that way, but there's someone else that is in control of that. It changes me from the, I need this, I got to do this, I got to have this, instead of I need. It helps me focus on the great I am.
Yep.
Right. So I'm looking at now, God, what do I need? God is that, right? He provides the things that I need. It shifts my focus from myself to my Savior. And it moves me from seeking and trying to find out, what is this life all about? What's gonna bring me happiness? It now shifts me to the one that can give me definitive answers, so I don't have to be questioning as much.
Well, and like you said, it's funny because we haven't discussed any of this, but I mean, you're echoing exactly everything that I thought when I read it, in that it does take a lot of the pressure off to where you don't have to be Mr. In charge, got everything handled, going to knock everything out and get it all right. You need to turn and focus on God and focus on Jesus and let that be the center. And even more ironic was the message series at our church is on the goodness of God. Mm. And this yesterday's message was about changing your perspective. Like, everybody's like, what's the point? Why am I here? What am I supposed to do? Well, all God really wants you to do is love Him, have a relationship, and point others towards Him. That's the point.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because again, going back to my notes, we haven't talked about this. One of the comments in the study guide for this is, the world doesn't revolve around us, neither does God. It's we who revolve around Him. And the question is, how does that realization change your day-to-day activities? And again, it comes down to, what is my concept of God? Where is He? And I think the answer to this question points us and sets us in that right mindset. But beyond that, what does it mean to me on a day-to-day basis? I should align the decisions that I make and all the priorities that I have in my life and all my interactions around what would glorify Him. And to your point, I think it boiled down to, I'm going to follow the greatest commandment. Mm-hmm. Love the Lord God with all your heart, your soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself.
Yep.
And I think that empowers us to do that. I mean, you talked about you mentioned the forgiveness aspect of forgiving a murder in that.
Oh yeah.
That's the only way I think that can be achieved, is through that grace that's given to us.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
This might be a little quicker than I thought it was going to be.
Well, I mean, I think we're touching on some good stuff, and I just think it's really weird that this is exactly the message series that we're going through at church.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and there was no plan for any of this, but it's I don't know, it's spooky.
I'm going to say, or predestined to shout out to my Presbyterian friends, or preordained for that are not right.
Yeah.
The other thing that I thought was pretty cool about this was, again, going back to the question, what's the center and point of everything? The answer, God is the center and point of everything.
Mm-hmm.
In him, all things come to be and are held together. He has no rival. One of the questions that the study guide asked was, the Bible begins with the words, in the beginning, God. So God is the first character mentioned in the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
I'd never really thought about that, but I guess it is true. And the question was, why should that be important?
Because there was nothing there until him. He was there when there was nothing else. He created everything.
Right.
I feel like I'm trying to get the question right, teacher.
No, I completely agree. And I think it goes back to, what's not only your view about, who is God and what does he do, but what's the Bible, therefore. The Bible is the story of God. It's the way he's revealed himself to man. Yeah. So I think the fact that he is the first character that is mentioned emphasizes the point that who's the
point?
The Bible.
Main character.
Who's it about?
Yeah.
It's about God and how he relates to us. The Bible's not about me. As much as we would like to think that sometimes, and we would just like to grab a random verse and pull that out and make it about me and us, it's not.
Yep.
It's about how God has made a way for us to have fellowship, with him.
I think they said it yesterday, the same thing in service was, you don't read the Bible to learn about yourself. You're reading the Bible to learn about who Jesus is. So don't read it with the point of, how can I make this relate to my life? It's more about God and Jesus when you read it, and you have to kind of flip that perspective in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think we all in this world, when you read something, even if it's nonfiction or whatever, you always try to put yourself in that scenario, and in your head it's all about me. It always comes back to me. But the Bible is the one thing that we're supposed to read and learn about God and his grace and his mercy and his conviction. I mean, today's times, we all like to be all about his forgiveness and grace, which is fantastic, but he also has some things that he wants you to do.
Yeah. Well, and it's going back to the other book that we're reading about the term, the simpleness of God, and that term irks me to no end, because
I don't like it. Yeah.
I know what they're saying, and what they're trying to say is God is this, not just the sum of the parts. He's everything all at once. Simple in our vernacular today does not mean what it means, I guess, in a theological term whenever somebody wrote this down.
Yeah.
But there's so many different aspects, and without any of those one characteristics of God, it's not a complete picture of who God is. So it's important to remember that, I think. A couple of the scripture references that it gave us through here were pretty good. I know your favorite verse was in here, believe it or not. I'm sure you saw that the be still and know that I am God verse was in there. But one of the other ones that I liked was Psalm 90, verses 1 and 2. It says, Lord, you've been our dwelling place in all generations. Before the mountains were brought forth, or ever you had formed the earth and the world, from everlasting to everlasting, you're God. So that's encouraging to me, right? That God has always been, always will be, and still, He's ordained the way things are to go, created everything, has said controls all things, holds all things together. And if I'm making him the center of my life, that should be freeing to me, because then I don't have the pressure of, I'm gonna do what I want to do, and if it's just not fulfilling to me, I just need to try harder, and I need to convince myself that I'm right, and I need to push myself. Otherwise, I'm trying to validate what I have told myself I believe, and I think that can lead people to some pretty dark places.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, all you gotta do is look around the world today and see some of the crazy offshoots and strains and of what are called Christianity nowadays. And you're like, I don't remember that ever being anywhere in the Bible. That should be the reference book of, hey, is this good? Is this not good? Let me go back and look in the Bible. No, that's not in there anywhere.
Not even from not even on a spiritual context. If I'm working on something around the house and I've convinced myself that this is the right way to do things, I'm going to keep doing it no matter how wrong it is. I can't give it up that I was wrong on this, right? And unfortunately, I think that happens a lot to us in the real world.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I will try to fix something myself, and I will fight and fight and fight, because in my head, that's the way it's supposed to be. And then when I still can't get it right, I stop and I look in the book, and I'm like, oh, turn it that way. Gotcha.
Sometimes lefty-loosey is not always.
Yeah, you get that one backwards thread piece or something like that.
Well, it's funny. I don't know if you meant to say this intentionally or not, but you said you kind of go grab the book and figure out what's right. I think there's a good Bible allegory there.
Yeah, it dawned on me. I didn't intentionally say it, but as I was saying it, I was like, yeah, grab the book.
That's good. So anyways, anything else that you wanted to kind of talk that you thought stood out from this? We may have already hashed it out. The other thing I like about this book is the chapters are short. It's like a devotional type thing, right?
Yeah. I thought it was once a week.
Maybe.
There's 50 of them. So if I go a year.
Okay. Same thing, same one over and over and over?
Well, I have to reflect on things.
Okay, so I should have read this like 7 times, I guess.
Oh, well, I didn't do a whole lot of the reading part. I read it a couple times and did a lot of reflecting.
Reflecting's good.
Yeah.
Hey, so I will say that the other thing that I thought was kind of cool about this is in the study guide, they kind of include something from church history on each one of these. I think it's a prayer from church history or something. And I don't know, the older I get, I realize that there's a lot of wisdom that's been spouted before. And a lot of the church fathers from early on, they wrote some pretty impactful stuff, right? So there was one in here, and if it's okay with you, I'm going to read it.
Yeah, absolutely.
We can kind of tie this off and then talk about whatever. But this is from Augustine of Hippo. Now, I don't know Hippo, but this was like written in 354. Well, he lived 354 to 430 AD. So,
a little while ago.
Yeah, so, about 3 to 4 centuries after Jesus was here. So this is the prayer he wrote down. It's been recorded. It says, "You, O Lord, are great and worthy of exceeding praise. Your great wisdom and your great virtue and your wisdom are beyond comprehension. Humanity, though merely creatures, longs to praise you. The same humanity that bears the weight of mortality, the testimony of sin, and the reminder that you resist the proud. Still, humanity, the small part of your creation, inherently desires to praise you. You enkindle in us a longing to praise you because you have made us for yourself, and our hearts are restless until they rest in you." That's wordy, but man, there's some good stuff in there.
Yeah.
Our hearts are restless until we rest in you.
That's what I was going to say. The last part is just, man, it's so true,
Yeah. The other thing was that I liked about that quote, you enkindle in us a longing to praise you. I think everyone has some sort of desire to worship something, whether it's, and that's an innate part of our being, I think.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times we worship a lot of different things. Reading this book about spiritual idolatry, right? We will worship anything that makes us happy and fulfills our immediate needs, and I'm willing to make that an idol in my life because everybody's meant to worship something.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that we're made for God, we don't really find that true worship, that true peace, until we really find rest in Jesus.
Yeah, I like the analogy. I'm sure you've heard it of, you're trying to fill a hole in your life with everything, money, football, whatever it is that you love, but it's a God-sized hole, and only He will fill it. Man.
Yep, very true. Well, anyways, I think that's pretty cool for week one. I think focusing on that, going in the mindset that now God's the center and the point of everything, and challenges us to walk that way.
It sure changes your daily perspective when you are faced with some kind of a problem and you're like, okay, wait a minute.
Yep.
Really not that big a deal.
And if it is a big a deal, that's okay, because the one that has me in this position has known I was going to be here, promised to see me through it. So I can take comfort in that I'm not alone in that journey.
Yep, for sure.
Cool.
All right. Well, good deal. We're gonna wrap this one up. I'll do the little outro, and we thank everybody for joining us and being here today. And just remember that God loves you, and He has a plan for you, and He's watching out for you. And man, this world is, I don't know, I'm gonna ramble here for a minute. This world has gotten so bad and so evil, and so easy to lose your way and focus on the wrong things. But just keep your eyes on Him, and it'll all work out. His plan is better than anything we could ever imagine. As you like to say, Brian, God is faithful.
All the time.
Yes, sir.
Thank you again for joining us for this episode of the Tell Me About Your Jesus podcast. We hope you've been reminded of God's faithfulness. He loves you, has a plan for your life, and is always working around you. We invite you to visit us on our website, tellmeaboutyourjesus.com, and share your story with us. You can also reach us by emailing hosts@tellmeaboutyourjesus.com, or you can interact with us on our social media channels. We'll see you next time.